Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the High Elves led by Mr. Adler facing off against Bretonnia, who shall be helmed by Attack Speed Enjoyer here on Scalendir's Cave. And looking at the Bretonian build, it is going to be a mass trebuchet build. Not really mass, but 3 trebuchets, all of which are gold chevron, which is actually a pretty big buff to its accuracy as well as its reload skill. So the reason why you go trebuchet heavy in this matchup is because High Elf players often really like to use Phoenix Guard in this matchup because they're pretty great. Phoenix Guard will beat pretty much all the Bretonian cav units, and they also trade adequately well against the infantry, so you plop those down on points, and Bretonnia, if they don't have the proper tools to dig them out with trebuchets, for example, or the right magic, can really suffer. So triple trebuchet, and we do also see some Grail Knights, which you love to see. Grail Knights a very powerful cav unit, obviously. Anti-large, magic damage, really good against, Fireborn type units or Dragon Princes. It can also flatten infantry and do very well against monsters if they can isolate them. Damsel of Life with Regrowth and Alberic, which makes sense. If you're going to be bringing Alberic and not Lewin, you pretty much always have to go with Regrowth. You sometimes will see, for example, Plague Penguin, who's a very good Bretonian player. He'll go with Flock of Doom and go with King Lewin in a lot of matchups, but in this case, yeah, you definitely want the healing. So I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, trebuchets, a couple yeomen to contest the objectives. And for the High Elf army and Mr. Adler, it is going to be Chad Therian the Grim. This guy's amazing. Having Tempest is so good in this matchup because Bretonnia pretty much always goes with the Flying Lord. Occasionally you'll see Fey Enchantress, but it keeps the Air Force fight honest with his Tempest, and he's a good enough fighter to go fisticuffs with Alberic. Granted, he would lose, but with Tempest and healing, it can become a bit of a closer fight. Now here in the middle, one of the Illyrian Reavers does get caught up, a bit of a lapse in micro, and it seems like they got surrounded a little bit by those yeomen, but they do get caught and pushed back, so unfortunate start for Mr. Adler. But he does also have Ship's Company, Oceanids, which are interesting. Really weak to archers. I think probably just having a little bit of fun with that, but the Sea Elemental could be a menace. It is a big monster with armor piercing, so if left to its own devices and its 70 melee defense, it could maybe hold off Grail Knights with infantry support below it. So the Grail Knight's diving really deeply here from Attack Speed Enjoyer, going in, pushing back the Illyrian Reavers, and now getting a little bit caught up in a bit of an ugly fight, as we are going to be seeing a Tempest activated, an Overcasted Tempest. So that will be some really fat damage against Alberic, and the Grail Knight's going to be retreating, leaving their Duke to his own devices, while Ship's Company on Objective 3 going to be heading out there to grab that, and Ship's Company also moving up towards Objective 2. So in the back, Eltharion getting bullied, getting bullied, but bullying very badly, as we do see Alberic being pushed back, and the Grail Knight's going to be swinging and wheeling about face and getting a charge onto the Oceanids, which they're doing really good damage against. Oceanids hate anti-large magic damage, considering physical resist is one of their biggest protective qualities that they do have. But yeah, great start for the High Elves out of the gates. We do see Alberic going down to about half health, and the Grail Knights, though, are still in relatively decent shape, and they're going to be coming about, just kind of retreating, charging, and now engaging versus the Oceanids. But the High Elves are calling out the Fireborn, so those Grail Knights, though they would win, and probably an open field if they just head-on charge each other, although I don't really know about that. Might be a bit of a thing to test. Grail Knights do have less models, but of course are a little bit more elite. And they do have Ward Save built in, which is very nice at 15%. But they're going to be retreating regardless from the Fireborn, because they were caught in a bad position. There was infantry support, Oceanids, Sea Elementals, you guys get the idea. So Grail Knight's getting a big charge into the back of the Ship's Company, and they're just kind of balling through the formation, while some yeomen going to be sent in as a sacrifice against the Fireborn to try and peel for the Grail Knights. But man, those Grail Knights get caught and have a really bad time in that situation. Now in the back, we do see the Field Trebuchet shooting. This one up to 160 value. This one going to be sitting at about 200 so far. The Trebuchets at this point in the game should really just be shooting at the Fireborn. Every one of those Trebuchets should be locked in, shooting at the Fireborn units, trying to claw it back. So yeah, big value lead for Mr. Adler out of the gates. The Sea Elemental and the Oceanids actually kind of anchoring down here. And, it's one of those things where your opponent brings a build to counter a specific playstyle, coming in really hard, expecting a bunch of Trebuchet or Halberds, and then, they're not there, and you just have crap infantry for them to shoot at and big monsters and that type of thing, right? But, Attack Speed Enjoyer is a top-tier player. You can certainly swing this game back. The Field Trebuchets are now shooting into the Fireborn, and shooting those boulders at the Fireborn is going to be cost-effective over the course of a long grind. And I'm curious what Attack Speed is going to be doing. Most likely calling in some Knights of the Realm to try and get some picks. Maybe hoping his opponent will overextend, get a little bit greedy. Here on this side, Reavers are going to be screening out the Mounted Yeomen, so the Mounted Yeomen do pay the Troll Toll. But in response, Attack Speed Enjoyer are going to be calling out some Pegasus Knights who do descend from the skies, getting a nice charge, and they will banish those Illyrian Reavers back to the Shadow Realm. So good night, sweet princes. You will be missed, and they are shaken and soon to be stirred, as we do see the Sea Elemental and Oceanids coming over, which is actually probably a win for Attack Speed Enjoyer, because Pegasus Knights are going to be good against both those. If you could just kind of let the Yeomen absorb the damage of the Sea Elemental and then attack the Pegasus Knights into the Oceanids with a charge, it should die pretty quickly. Now back on this side, Eltharion the Grim getting a little bit low himself actually, but does get a really nice Tempest here onto Alberic, and the Fireborn are also hot on his case. Yeoman Archer is going to be sent in as a sacrifice to protect the Duke of Bretonnia. Meanwhile, on Objective Dose, we do see the Ships Company holding it down, and Grail Knights, another Grail Knight unit coming out, and just like that, attack speed enjoyer is back in the game here in terms of value, and the Bretonnian mobility really does tend to dominate this matchup. It's very, very good. So, yeah, no Phoenix Guard, obviously, right? So they're going to be able to run through these objectives and also flatten that Ships Company unit right there. Over here on this side, the Pegasus Knights do get back up into the sky, thinking about maybe diving in there. They are being shot by the Yeoman Archers, and Alberic is coming over, who will be imbuing an even bigger bonus for large, as the Pegasus Knights of Bretonnia are going to be splish, splash, taking it back here, as they are going to get washed by the Sea Elemental and the Oceanids. But I think at the end of the day, Alberic and the Pegasus Knights should win this fight. The Oceanids are pretty much getting hard countered here. And looks like some light cav going to be coming in, some Reavers, which is very good. Probably going to be saving the life of the Sea Elemental, but Oceanids most likely will be crumbled down. Back here on this side, the Grail Knights having a bit of a field time, just running through the Ships Company, but now going to be getting attacked by Fireborn, though we do see Knights of the Realm coming in to help out. Although, they're going to abandon those guys? I don't know. They should definitely flank charge here. Those Knights of the Realm, in my opinion, should have came around the back and charged onto the Fireborn to try and salvage that Grail Knight unit, right? And see if you could maybe give them a little bit of help. Over here on this side, though, back in action, Alberic and the Pegasus Knights actually being defeated, probably because of the buffering from the Illyrian Reavers. So the Pegasus Knights just kind of got swarmed, and, Pegasus Knights do have okay combat stats, but, a light cab unit absorbing a lot of the wounds, allowing the Oceanid as well as the Sea Elemental to really do the damage is quite big. So, yeah, the Sea Monsters are not taking any prisoners here today, guys. As we do see the Hyle sitting on a triple cap, Grail Knights here being punished, and Knights of the Realm going to be maneuvering over to the middle. And the Grail Knights just going to be left to see what kind of value they can squeeze out. And we do see our boy Eltharion here a little bit overextended. Potentially could take some Grail Knight damage. And the Mistwalker's Barrage, very, very nice. Does some damage. And Grail Knights looks like they're on the precipice of breaking -6 leadership. And that's rough. His elite cav this game have been getting caught in pretty precarious positions. And I think that's one of the big things that may lead to a Hyle victory. So more Knights of the Realm being called in. Middle objective is in the process of flipping. And we do see the sea creatures diving into the backfield here. And potentially going to be getting a Trebuchet offline, dude. The ocean is rising up and it is pissed. So here it comes. The big boink from the Sea Elemental and the Seahorses. And I definitely think I like the look of the Sea Elemental more. I think like its face is a little bit, yeah, it's like kind of like a dragon sort of. The Seahorses are interesting and all, but yeah, I don't know. Knights of the Realm coming out. They will be able to lance down the Reavers and probably defeat the Oceanids with the help of Alberic. Sea Elemental going to be making its way back towards the middle as one of their trebuchets is going to be taken offline. And these are not cheap trebuchets either. They're gold chevron trebs, so probably like 800-900 gold, something in that ballpark. So it is a big loss to lose those, actually. It's like losing a real artillery piece. Let's look at the objective situation. So objective 1 belongs to the High Elves, and the High Elves are up in points right now. Objective 2 retaken by the Bretonnian Cavalry, so the Knights of the Realm are really good on this map, able to bounce around. Sea Elementals are going to be coming back to try and grab that. Meanwhile, Ships Company going to be getting unsummoned. Fireborn still going strong. Fireborn might be worth unsummoning at this point. Granted, they still have 28 models, so perhaps a little bit of fighting power left in those guys. But in the backfield, the Oceanids finally defeated by the Knights of the Realm. Alberic, the regrowths have been very, very good, and I know there's been some apotheosis, but Bretonnia might actually be like even-ish on value considering the amount of healing and regrowth we've seen on Alberic this game. 2 Knights of the Realm grabbing this point, and in the middle, the Haggard Peasant mob's going to be run down, and this is great. Getting fed to the Lions, classic. We got them getting munched on, and those peasants are going to be breaking, and this objective will be going to the High Elves. Not super quickly, because the Narnia Lions and the Cab don't have a ton of capture weight, but it will happen. Oh man, he stabilized that Trebuchet. That's actually really big. Trebuchets has got really only 130 value. Jeez Louise. This one's gotten about 700, so hey, at least it's something. So Attack Speed Enjoyer going to be starting to play an objective Goblin game where he just uses all of his mobility to bounce between the points, which is certainly not a bad idea. And on this side, Mounted Yeoman and Peasant Mobs going to be coming to reclaim Objective 3. High Elves could run into a problem where they can't hold the points, and they just kind of get ping-ponged around the objectives. They definitely need to develop a game plan here of how they're going to protect these 2 points. Probably the best bet at this point would be parking like any archers you have up here and just playing objectives 1 and 2 since you already have a foothold there. Sea Elemental is going pretty hog wild, diving into the backfield. It does actually get that Damsel of Life, which is hilarious. I don't know how that Damsel got caught. Sea Elemental is much slower, but perhaps a lapse in micro there, but did end up getting caught. And now we have a big fight in the middle. Knights of the Realm are going to be cascading in and charging into the Narnia lines, while the Oceanids are also on their way in. And Alberic with his anti-large bonus might be able to get a karate chop on Eltharion, but look at that. Fang Sword is really good here. It does give him 40% Fizz Res. Alberic does not do magic damage. So that's a big damage mitigation for our boy. But the Narnia line and the Discouraged effect, quite nasty indeed. So big pit fight is underway, but Tempest is activated once again from the Grim Warden. And that is going to be blasting Alberic a little bit. Alberic is getting stirred up here, and the Mistwalker's Barrage activated. Seems to be a pretty good ability. It was OP once, got nerfed, was terrible, and now maybe it's in a decent place. Hard to say. But Eltharion the Grim, 3,000 value on him. Alberic sitting at 2,700, so the big carry is doing some very, very heavy lifting here. The Fireborn and Oceanids, not hearing any bells. So Lyrian Reaver's coming across. Man, having a Reaver just go up and sweep out all of these field trebuchets would be so cost effective, man. I guess you could use the Sea Elemental for it. I do feel like this is a bit of a misplay with the Sea Elemental. Like, it should be in the epicenter of combat rather than like chasing things around the map, but not the end of the world. Reavers, Oceanids, and Narnia lines, as well as the Storm Riders, are now in the mix. Looking at the objective situation, High Elves have this one and are in the process of ninjing the outside objective. And they're currently, of course, ahead on points as well. So Bretonnia's got to be careful. They can't afford to lose points for too much longer. Knights of the Realm, anti-large attacks, chewing through the Oceanid unit. Alberic going to be flying overhead. And suddenly these peasants are filled with anti-large prowess. Bonus for large of 12 on peasant mobs is really not bad at all. Imagine if they had that. It'd be like pigback riders all over again. And here comes Alberic going for the kill on Eltharion. 700 HP against 1700. Foe Seeker active, so Eltharion getting flanked in a little bit of a dangerous situation and about to get hunted by the Pegasus Knights, it looks like. So the Pegasus Knights descending. Eltharion about to get a really fat Tempest, though, and that is going to slap the base here. Probably should have used it on Alberic. Granted, he is caught in the radius of it, so he is being hit, so it ends up working out anyways. Alberic at 1300, the Grim Warden at 700, and now the Sea Elemental has returned to the fray, which I think is very, very necessary. Objective 1 belonged to the High Elves. Objective 2 is belonging to the High Elves as well, but being flipped right now by the Bretonnians. Yeoman Archers doing their thing, and the Grim Warden is wavering on the run. 25 leadership. Eltharion very, very low as well. And look at the Oceanid play this game. Really interesting. I mean, this has been a matchup that historically has been very Bretonnian favored in my experience. But maybe there is something with the Oceanids being difficult to remove. Getting that staying power, I don't know. Maybe because there was no Peasant Archers. To be fair, it's kind of hard to draw a proper conclusion because the Bretonnian army is very unorthodox with a triple gold trebuchet army instead of Peasant Archers. So you don't want to draw, big conclusions from this, right? Objective 1. Being stolen again by the Bretonnians. Attack speed enjoyer really, really being a gremlin on the objectives, doing quite well there. And it looks like Eltharion finally going to be breaking, while Alberic, the brave Duke of Bretonnia, manages to stay firm. Who has higher base leadership? If his base is 75, I think Eltharion's probably like 85. Yeah, Eltharion a little bit trickier to break, but he is very, very low. But yeah, the ocean is rising up, man, and it looks like it's going to be jumping over on Objective Uno here, while the Sea Elemental is going to be chasing these Yeoman Archers here. So that's going to flip, and then from there, it should be a pretty easy grab to get Objective 1 back, just like a couple infantry units. Bretonnia looking really haggard right now, although that regrowth is going to be quite nice, and we are going to be seeing Eltharion getting routed off the battlefield, so potentially a comeback opportunity for the Bretonnians. Yeah, Eltharion's down, negative 16 penalty going across the board here on all of the elemental, well, all the units, most of which are elementals. But that is a pretty substantial penalty, and we're going to see if it matters in the prolonged fighting. While Oceanid's going to be getting sent to the other side, they're going to need some spearmen or some reinforcing infantry to come in and help them out. Otherwise, Alberic maybe going to be able to drag them down. And Grail Knights. So I love this pick by Attack Speed Enjoyer. Grail Knights in the late game when a battle is sporadic and chaotic and there's not a lot of like consolidated, like anchored positions are so nasty. It's the same thing with Pleasure Seekers. Like in the late game, man, they just do such work. And we'll see if Attack Speed Enjoyer is going to be able to pull it off. So the Oceanids do eat a big anti-large charge. Their melee defense, of course, will help them hold firm, but yeah, getting surrounded by anti-large cav is going to be very tough. And yeah, maybe the Sea Elemental will be able to clutch it. We'll have to see. Storm Riders, Ship's Company. And here we get more Reaver Cav coming out. Big pit fight going down as one Oceanid unit is going to be getting disintegrated. But the Sea Elemental is coming in and might be able to finish off Alberic. So Alberic sitting at 800 HP, potentially going to be breaking right now. Rallies at 16 as the Sea Elemental is hot on the case. Sea Elementals, of course, do have perfect vigor. So over the course of a game, that is one of the really good things about them is they don't get tired. And currently it's sitting at about 2200 value. How cool is that? Like a matchup you wouldn't perceive it to be any good in. Still doing decently, right? And that just goes to show that there's a lot of the meta that is certainly unexplored. So back here on the far side, Illyrian Reavers attacking into the Yeoman, and we do have the Ship's Company hustling up towards objective number 3, so those bad boys going to be cruising for it. Bretonnia might be able to hold it. The Knights of the Realm and the Pegasus Knights might defeat them. Ship's Company are pretty lackluster. I mean, it's nice having a cheap sword unit, but, they're not going to be able to stand up to much. They're basically like a worse version of an Empire Swordsman that costs more. But, for the purpose they serve on the High Elf roster, they shouldn't be... You don't want everything to be the same in this game across all the factions. Like, some factions should have units that cost the same, but one's better than the other, right? Like, what if a Khorne Infantry, was just like... Yeah, you guys get the analogy there. But, yeah, they should have their little differences here and there. That's what makes the game rich. So, Ship's Company and Reavers coming in, but honestly, the Pegasus Knights and the Knights of the Realm may be able to hold them back, although I don't know. That's a whole bunch of dudes there. That's going to be a big kind of play of the game right there. We'll have to see. Ship's Company fighting off peasants in the middle. Meanwhile, the big Sea Elemental does get taken down by the Grail Knights. Yeah, Grail Knights finally doing their job here. 2500, able to take down the Sea Elemental, who did skeet out some of the Oceanids here, because it does drop Oceanids when it gets low. And the Grail Knights coming across, flattening over the Archers. And could we see the comeback here? Man, it's going to be a tight one. Very, very knockdown, drag-out game. Look at this, Alberic's hitting at 735 HP as well, so he's in the danger zone right now. So back towards Objective 3. Illyrian Reaver, Ship's Company, and more Reavers going to be hustling over there to secure that one. Currently, the High Elves need to hold 2 objectives. Bretonnia in the process of flipping that one, and it does look like maybe they'll have a chance at it over here. Yeah, Pegasus Knights coming in, but that's a lot of capture weight, actually. Pegasus Knights don't have any capture weight being a flying unit. So if this flips to the High Elves, that's probably going to be securing the game for him. So right now, if you're Mr. Adler, what you want to do is just be a gremlin on this point, run away and kite a little bit, and just try and get this. Yeah, get back on the objective there. Very, very good instincts there as he continues kiting. Over here in the middle, the Ship's Company being routed, and the Bretonnians going to be flipping this one with their massive legions of peasants. Reavers won't be able to clear out. God damn, that is a lot of unwashed peasants and some spearmen at arms as well. So High Elves have Objective 3, but they can't stay there. They have to contest the other points. And on this side, the High Elves do clutch this one. That is so big. And here we have Knights of the Realm coming in. I think the High Elves might be able to just barely get this, man. It's going to be really close. It's going to take them a minute to get this one back. Knights of the Realm and Alberic probably should come over here, bring Alberic, although you got to watch out for the Illyrian Reaver archers that could pick him off. But yeah, at the end of the day, the Knights of the Realm should be able to recapture this, but is it going to be quick enough? All right. High Elves are preparing a Helm's Deep, which is smart, Ship's Company, and they're just going to kind of loosely hold this one to the point where they can win on just one, and that's going to be very, very quickly. I think it might already be at that point, give or take. It's very, very close to it if it's not. All right. Knights of the Realm gathering objective in the process of flipping to the Bretonnians, and here I think we're going to be seeing a High Elf Helm's Deep over here on this far side. 2 Ship's Company and a lot of Reavers, each of which have good capture weight, and, you know, for light cavalry are very durable. They have 38 melee defense, which, again, like I said, for light cav is very, very high. Objective 1 is going to be going to the Bretonnians, so it looks like those bad boys are going to be grabbing this one, and ladies and gentlemen, I think the High Elves have got it. There's not really any way Bretonnia can go for it, and the High Elves even push in the middle, which is a mistake, actually, I think. You probably would want to just park on Objective 2, although maybe they're going to get away with it. Yeah, they do. Game ends. GG, well played. Tyrannok victorious. So I did not think that build was going to work, the Sea Elemental and Oceanids. Just to be completely honest, I thought that the Bretonnian build, even though the Bretonnian build wasn't good against it, I thought that the Sea Elemental and Oceanids would be subpar. But I actually made me eat my words a little bit. 2,700 Oceanids were summoned multiple times, but did okay. I still don't think Oceanids are good in this matchup. Sea Elemental maybe has a little bit more prowess. But yeah, I also think that Attack Speed Enjoyer had some pretty colossal blunders in the early game that cost him. And had he played cleaner, I think he would have probably had the game. He did lose his Grail Knights out of the gates, got them trapped, and then it happened again. He basically blundered 2 Grail Knights, and that cost him. But he's a good enough player that he still almost pulled the game back. So very, very fun stuff. Yeah, GG. Really cool to see some unorthodox tech here from Mr. Adler. Loved it. All right, guys. See you around. Take care of yourselves. And that is going to be it for today.